I'll show you some good reps and then we'll talk about it. So I'll show you without the bar and then we'll bring the bar into it. The first thing is actually picking something to use as a backrest. In a perfect world, you have something roughly knee height a little bit below. And the reason is, or kind of what you're shooting for, is when you're at the top of the hip thrust here, you want your body to be in a nice straight line. If this bench was too low, I'd be on an upward angle. If this bench was too high, I'd be on a downward angle. And so if you take a video from the side, you'll be able to see that even if you can't feel it. But what I will say is that not everybody's gonna have a million different options. You might only have a bench. And if so, even if it's not perfect, it's gonna be fine. Send a form video, I'm happy to help, but it's still gonna be fine if the bench isn't perfect. Do not stress it. One thing you can do if you only have a bench and it is a little high is that you can actually elevate the far end of the bench with something like a bumper plate. And what you've done is you've actually brought this point a little bit lower, and you can set up for your hip thrusts like this with a little bit lower point on the bench, and that might be something that works for you if you're a little bit shorter or your bench is a little bit taller. Now let's go through actually executing the lift before we grab the bar. The first thing is I want the bench to be right in between my shoulder blades on my upper back. Not up by my neck, not here by my lower back. It should be on my upper back, right between my shoulder blades. Next, you want your feet far enough away from you so that at the top of the lift, your shins are roughly vertical. It's gonna be tough for you to tell the first time because I can't see what my shins are doing. So take a video of yourself from the side and you'll see if your feet are here and they're on an angle kind of towards your body under your butt, you're gonna feel it a lot in your quads. And if your feet are too far away like this, right, so they're angled away, you're gonna feel it a lot in your hamstrings. The way we want to make this the most glute dominant is to get it somewhere in here. Again, I'm not even sure if it's perfect, where the shins are roughly vertical. So take a form video and let's talk about it. Next, when it comes to actually executing the lift, I want to talk about a few things. Once you're set up, you have your back in the right spot, you have your feet in the right spot, I want to talk about how low you should go. For a barbell hip thrust, I want you to go as low as you can until one of two things happens. Either you're going to go down, 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 your back is going to start to slip off the bench. If that happens, stop before that happens. Or you're going to be using these bumper plates, and as you go down, the plates are going to touch the floor. I want you to go down either until the plates touch the floor or stop right before your back wants to slide off the bench. You're going to go as low as you can until the plates touch the floor or your back's going to slide a little bit off the bench. And that's one of the things that makes this different than a glute bridge. Now I'm going to show you some reps done incorrectly, and then we're going to talk about fixing it. And so what I see a lot is this, where you're hyperextending at the lower back and you're kind of letting your head kind of flop backwards. So how do we fix this? I want to tuck the chin and I want a slight brace in the abs. You can see how it already fixed the technique here. Instead of being like this, slight brace in the abs, tuck the chin, gaze forward. This is your top position right here. So again, I'm now going as low as I can. For me, my back is starting to slide right here, and then I'm coming up, squeeze, pinch the glutes. All the way down here, up, squeeze, pinch the glutes. I'm keeping my chin tucked. I'm keeping my gaze kind of down the runway in between my knees. Right? I don't actually care where you look with your eyes, but your chin should stay tucked into the chest. Now, you may see some chatter on the internet about whether or not you should be tucking your pelvis like this, right? Where you see I'm anterior tilting and then posterior tilting, and then I'm tucking my pelvis kind of underneath. Truthfully, I'd rather it be a little bit more of a hinge. As the bar lowers, I want your chest to fall forward. And as you come up, your chest should come up. I don't want this, where you're just articulating at the pelvis and at the low back. As you go down, you should pivot on the pad and then come up. If there is a little bit of pelvic movement, that's totally fine. I just don't want it to be only a pelvic movement. You will see people on the internet just doing this, right? And they're missing out on some glute gains. So when it comes to utilizing the bar, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's a pain in the ass to get into position, but it just is what it is. That's what we do for glute gains. So make sure you have one of these hip thrust pads just so it's not gonna feel really uncomfortable sitting in your pelvic crease there. This one's not fancy, it's one from Iron Bull. I have no affiliation, just get anything from Amazon, just type in hip thrust pad. So place that on the bar, make sure it's in the middle, and then I want you to use a wide enough grip that you can keep your arms locked. If you use your hands nice and tight, the elbows are gonna bend. It's not a big deal, but it's a very easy thing that might help a little bit. So use a wide enough grip that your arms are straight, roll the bar into your lap, bring your feet in, and then you will have to kind of muscle your way into position. It doesn't get any more graceful than that, I promise. Now, from here, you're gonna do exactly what we said. You're gonna go down, pivoting on the bench, right? Not just this, until either the plates touch the ground or I feel like I'm starting to slip down. Nice straight arms, putting some pressure into the bar. I'm going down, down, down. I don't think I can touch the floor. My back's starting to slip. And we're coming up, explosively, squeeze the glutes. Down, 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 up fast. Down, 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 up fast. Now, just for those of you guys who are wondering how this is different than a glute bridge, it's different in two main ways. A hip thrust is more explosive on the way up, and it has a larger range of motion on the way down. So a glute bridge has a smaller range of motion and is more controlled. A hip thrust has a larger range of motion and is more explosive. And so I'll show you them back to back so you can kind of see the difference here. This would be a glute bridge. A glute bridge means I'm only going down until my knees start to travel back, which is probably right here. And then I'm coming up nice and controlled butt squeeze. Here, nice and controlled butt squeeze. A hip thrust is going down here, coming up a little bit faster. Now, if you can go low enough where the plates do hit the ground, I want you to do that. It's a really easy way to establish consistent range of motion, so you know you went all the way down every rep. And so I don't want you to think of that as a bad thing. And so if you're in the market for a bench that you hope is a perfect height for you, what I would do is I would use what you have available, take a form video, see if it's too high, see if it's too low, and then measure the bench and then buy something accordingly. If you measure your bench, I think mine's 18 inches tall and it's too tall, maybe buy a plyo box or something that's 14 to 16 inches that might work better. But I want to remind you, it's still going to work just fine if the bench height or the box height is a little too high or a little too short. It's going to work fine. Just focus on taking your glutes close to failure. And so let's go through a couple more good reps. I'll get you out of here.